Before I knew Christ in my life was like this waterfall, picking up dirt and debris to fill my life with joy. It wasn't until I was 18 years old when I joined a Catholic youth group, and I started to learn how much God loves me. And at the age of 19, I gave my first talk in the group, and this was my message. Let me start off by reading Exodus 14, 1 to 14 from the Amplified Bible. And the Lord said to Moses, "Tell the Israelites to turn back and encamp before Pi-hahiroth, between Migdol and the Red Sea, before Baal-zephon. You shall encamp opposite it by the sea. For Pharaoh will say of the Israelites, they are entangled in the land, the wilderness has shut them in. I will harden Pharaoh's heart, that he will pursue them, and I will gain honour and glory over Pharaoh and all his host. And the Egyptians shall know that I am the Lord." And they did so. It was told the king of Egypt that the people had fled, and the heart of Pharaoh and of his servants was changed towards the people. And they said, "What is this we have done? We have let the Israelites go from serving us." And he made ready his chariots and took his army away, and took 600 chosen chariots and the other chariots of Egypt, with officers over all of them. The Lord made hard and strong the heart of Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and he pursued the Israelites. For they left proudly and defiantly. The Egyptians pursued them, all the horses and chariots of Pharaoh, and his men, and his army, and overtook them, encamped at Red Sea by Pi-hahiroth in front of Baal-zephon. When the Pharaoh drew nearer, the Israelites looked up, and behold, the Egyptians were marching after them. And the Israelites were exceedingly frightened, and cried out to the Lord. And they said to Moses, "Is it because there are no graves in Egypt that you have taken us away to die in the wilderness? Why have you treated us this way and brought us out of Egypt? Did we not tell you in Egypt, let us alone? Let us serve the Egyptians, for it would have been better for us to serve the Egyptians than to die in the wilderness." Moses told the people, "Fear not and stand still, firm, confident, undismayed, and see the salvation of the Lord, which he will work for you today. For the Egyptians you have seen today, you shall never see again. The Lord will fight for you, and you shall hold your peace and remain at rest." I have not stood my ground and kept still and let God take control over this issue, this battle I have had over the last 6 years. During the Renewal Weekend and National Sydney Convention, God opened my eyes to a problem I had with dirty comments and remarks towards females, and helped me to see where they started. When I was 12 years old, I wanted to go out with a girl. This girl devised a plan with some of her friends and encouraged me to participate in things I was uncomfortable with. And because my need was so great to be accepted, I went along with them. Afterwards, I felt like a useless piece of rag. I felt dirty. God brought me to this realization that because I felt dirty and rejected, that in turn I had tried to put girls down by making crude remarks to them and about them to others. I wanted payback for some of the hurt that I received. So I went back into the wilderness, or the world, for almost a year. I followed the wrong crowd, but not too far out of the way. I didn't drink, I didn't smoke, so I still felt. However, I did end up finding another youth group, and I attended with a guest preacher there. I went for 3 nights in a row, and every night at the altar call I was up there in tears. It was a fantastic experience. I then joined the youth group at the time. I became heavily involved with car park duties, helping out at youth rallies and so forth. When I was just before that, I got engaged. During that time, I got engaged to another girl, and unfortunately, she broke it off over the phone, and that's when I really went off the rails and drank. Not proud of myself, but that's what happened. Anyway, by this stage, I was 22 years old, and I decided to go back to high school and get my year 12. Well, year 11 and 12. Year 11 just flew past. I passed it, not a problem. It was all good. The following year, I did my year 12, and that was a big year for me. Even though I didn't pass year 12, a lot of things happened in my life. I was diagnosed with autism at the age of 23, which is never good news, but I've dealt with that. Then my parents divorced that same year, plus I was running a Christian fellowship program for year 10s and up, and I also helped out in the younger group. Now unfortunately in the younger group, one of the kids was hit by a car and killed, and none of the teachers wanted to help the students. So all the students came looking for me, and I ended up counselling 30 14-year-old girls with no training, no backup, no nothing. And let me tell you, that's a challenge. But I did not crumble. The following year I decided to go on to Bible college to study to become a school chaplain and get a Bachelor in Ministry. Which I managed to accomplish. It was 2002, and a little down. A friend of mine, now wife, gave me her contact details, and this is what happened. The story of my wife and I started back in October 2002, when I first text messaged her after a friend of hers gave me her mobile number. And the next Friday we talked online for the first time. And at that time I was feeling down and lonely, and we connected straight away and understood each other without meeting face to face. And at first I said to her online that I loved her like a brother loves a sister, and that did not feel right, and didn't sleep well the Saturday night when I said that. The next night we talked online again, and that's when I said to her, "Hey, can I tell her something?" And Leanne, being my wife, now wife, said sure, and that's when I told her that I had a crush on her. And that's when, and then Leanne said the same to me. And from that point on, we started dating without either of us asking each other out. We were together 2 weeks, about 2 weeks, when I called my friends in Holland at the time. And we had a little prayer time. And during the prayer time, my friend got a word from God. And that word was Psalm 45, 7-10, which happens to be the wedding psalm. And I'm going to read it out now. You love righteousness, uprightness, and right standing with God, and hate wickedness. Therefore, God, our God, has anointed you with oil of gladness. Your garments are fragmented with myrrh, aloes, and cassia. Stringed instruments make you glad. King's daughters are among your honourable women, and at your right hand stands the queen in God of Ophir. Hear, O daughter, submit and consent to my instruction, for also your own people and your own father's house, which happens to be the wedding psalm. And at this time I was totally amazed and speechless. And as we've grown closer together, stronger in God, we realised that we were meant to be together forever. So during the next few weeks, I sent her e-cards and normal cards through normal mail. And on our 3-month anniversary, I sent her a bottle of her favourite perfume, and before I bought it, I had a smell of it, and believe me, it's beautiful, and I know Leanne loves the gift. The next month was Valentine's Day, and I sent Leanne half a dozen long stem roses and a teddy bear, which I knew she loved. And I can tell you Leanne loved them, and Leanne sent me a beautiful card. On Monday, the 28th of April, I flew into Cairns, which was my first flight on my own, which made me a little bit nervous, but that's okay. I got to Cairns about 12:15 p.m. and Leanne and I noticed one another straight away and embraced. I then met Leanne's parents, and I was not nervous about meeting them. The flight was more scary than meeting the parents. While I was meeting, Leanne stood back, thought to herself, is this really the man I fell in love with? After leaving the airport, we went to the shopping centre and walked hand in hand, and stopped from time to time and embraced. The next day we went to lunch and met a few people and toured around a bit. The next day was Leanne's birthday. We went for a drive to a small country town and looked around that little town. That night, Leanne's family, we went out to dinner and had a good time with Leanne's family for her birthday. And after we came home, after the dinner, Leanne and I spent some time in the Bible and prayed after we finished. And the moment just felt right. So I got down on one knee and told Leanne how much I loved her and how much it means to me, and asked her to marry me, and she said yes. And the rest of the next week that I was up here, we toured around and saw some sights of Queensland. And a few months later, which would have been August, September, Leanne came down to Adelaide to visit me and my family and friends. My brother and I showed Leanne some of the sights of Adelaide, South Australia. In the short time Leanne and I were there, Leanne was there, and being Leanne's first trip alone, she was nervous, but we made sure she felt comfortable and right at home. After Leanne flew into Adelaide, we went to lunch down at Glenelg, which is a beach suburb of Adelaide, where I happen to live. During the next 6 weeks, Leanne was with me. My brother and I took Leanne around to see some sights of Adelaide. I also introduced Leanne to all my friends and family. While Leanne was in Adelaide with me, my brother organised an engagement party. All too soon, Leanne had to come home to Queensland, which was a sad time for both of us, and hard, but we got through it. About 2 weeks after Leanne left, I started to make my plans to move up to Queensland. It was hard for me to leave Adelaide. It's all I had known for 28 years. So I pulled myself away from friends, family, and my whole support network to be with her. Let me tell you, that's not easy to do. I moved up to Cairns before Christmas. Just before Christmas. And Leanne and I got to spend our first Christmas together, which was very special for both of us. And then after the new year, all the wedding plans started to come together, even though it was a stressful time. We got through it, and we got married April 17, 2004. I said that. And this is where we actually got married. Right near this lake that you can see behind me. So as you see, I've been through it a lot. However, God was there all the way through it all. And like me, if you are suffering from wounds, they can be as simple as not knowing Christ in your life, all the way through to abuse you received in the past. God is a great healer, and if you would like to join me in this prayer and receive Christ, feel free to do so.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now